The Clockmaker's Legacy. Chapter 1. The Old Workshop. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, nestled in the rolling hills of Pennsylvania, there stood a small, weathered building that had been a fixture of the community for over a century. The faded sign above the door read, "Harrison and Sons Clockmakers." For generations, the Harrison family had been known for their craftsmanship, creating intricate timepieces that were both functional and works of art. But now the shop was silent, its windows dark, and the once bustling workshop filled with dust and memories. Inside, an elderly man named Samuel Harrison sat at his workbench, his hands trembling slightly as he examined a broken pocket watch. At 75, Samuel was the last of the Harrisons, a man who had spent his entire life surrounded by the ticking of clocks and the smell of wood and metal. He had dedicated himself to the craft just as his father and grandfather had before him. But now the world had moved on. Digital clocks and smartphones had replaced the need for handcrafted timepieces, and Sam's once thriving business had dwindled to almost nothing. Sam sighed as he set the watch down, his fingers brushing against a photograph on the desk. It was a picture of his late wife, Margaret, taken on their wedding day. She had been gone for 10 years now, but her presence still lingered in the shop, in the way the sunlight filtered through the windows, and the faint scent of lavender that seemed to linger in the air. As Sam stared at the photograph, he felt a pang of loneliness. His children had long since moved away, pursuing careers in bustling cities, and his friends had either passed on or moved to retirement communities. He was alone, surrounded by the ghosts of the past and the ticking of clocks that seemed to echo through the empty shop. Chapter 2. A Stranger in Town. One crisp autumn morning, as Sam was sweeping the front porch of his shop, he noticed a man walking down the street. The man was dressed in a suit, his hair neatly combed, and he carried a briefcase in one hand. He looked out of place in the small town, and Sam couldn't help but feel a sense of curiosity as the man approached. "Good morning," he said with a polite smile. "I'm looking for Samuel Harrison." "That would be me," Sam replied, leaning on his broom. "What can I do for you?" The man extended his hand. "My name is Daniel Carter. I'm an antique dealer from New York. I've heard a great deal about your family's work, and I was hoping I could take a look at some of your pieces." Sam raised an eyebrow. It had been years since anyone had shown interest in his clocks. "Well, you're in luck," he said. "I've got plenty of them to show you. Come on in." As Daniel followed Sam into the shop, his eyes widened in amazement. The walls were lined with shelves filled with clocks of all shapes and sizes, grandfather clocks with intricately carved wooden cases, ornate mantel clocks with porcelain faces, and delicate cuckoo clocks that seemed to come alive with every tick. The air was filled with the soft, rhythmical ticking of hundreds of clocks, creating a symphony of time. "These are incredible," Daniel said, his voice filled with awe. "I've never seen anything like this." Sam nodded, a hint of pride in his eyes. "Every one of them is unique, handcrafted by my family over the years. Each clock has a story." Daniel's gaze fell on a large grandfather clock in the corner. The clock's face was made of polished brass, and the wooden case was adorned with intricate carvings of vines and flowers. "This one," he said, pointing to it. "What's its story?" Sam walked over to the clock and ran his hand along the smooth wood. "This clock was made by my grandfather in 1923. It was commissioned by a wealthy businessman as a gift for his wife on their 25th anniversary. My grandfather spent 6 months working on it, carving every detail by hand. It's one of the finest pieces he ever made." Daniel whistled in appreciation. "It's a masterpiece. Would you be willing to sell it?" Sam hesitated. The clock had been a staple of his shop for as long as he can remember, and it felt like a part of his family's legacy. But he knew that he couldn't keep it forever. "I suppose everything has its price," he said finally. "Make me an offer." The two men spent the next hour negotiating, and by the end of the conversation, they had reached an agreement. Daniel promised to return the next day with a truck to transport the clock, and Sam felt a mix of relief and sadness as he watched the man leave. Chapter 3. A Family Secret. That evening, as Sam sat alone in his workshop, he began to think about the clock he had just sold. It wasn't just a piece of furniture, it was a part of his family's history, a symbol of their craftsmanship and dedication. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was betraying his ancestors by letting it go. As he pondered this, his eyes fell on an old wooden chest in the corner of the room. The chest had belonged to his father, and Sam hadn't opened it in decades. Curious, he walked over and lifted the lid, revealing a stack of yellowed letters and documents. As Sam sifted through the contents, he came across an old leather-bound journal. The cover was worn, and the pages were filled with his grandfather's neat, elegant handwriting. Sam's heart raced as he began to read. The journal detailed his grandfather's early years as a clockmaker, the challenges he faced, and the secrets of his craft. But as Sam turned the pages, he stumbled upon something unexpected. A detailed account of a hidden compartment in the grandfather clock he had just sold. According to the journal, the clock contained a hidden drawer, accessible only by pressing a specific sequence of markings on the clock's face. Inside the drawer was a collection of rare coins and a letter written by Sam's grandfather, addressed to future generations of the Harrison family. Sam's hands trembled as he read the entry. He had been so focused on the exterior beauty of the clock that he had never thought to look for a hidden compartment. Now, with the clock set to be sold the next day, he feared he might lose this precious piece of his family's history forever. Chapter 4. A Race Against Time. The next morning, Sam awoke with a sense of urgency. He knew he had to act quickly if he wanted to retrieve the hidden contents of the clock before it was taken away. He dressed hurriedly and made his way to the shop, his mind racing with thoughts of what he might find. When he arrived, he found Daniel already there, inspecting the grandfather clock with a satisfied smile. Sam took a deep breath and approached him. "Daniel," he said, trying to keep his voice steady, "I need to ask you a favor." Daniel looked up, surprised. "Of course, Sam. What is it?" "I've just discovered something about this clock, something I never knew before. There's a hidden compartment inside, and I believe it contains some important family documents. I need to open it before you take the clock away." Daniel's eyes widened in curiosity. "A hidden compartment? That's fascinating. Please, show me." Sam led Daniel to the clock and carefully pressed the sequence of markings his grandfather had described in the journal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft click, a small drawer slid open on the side of the clock. Inside, Sam found a collection of old coins, their surfaces tarnished with age, and a sealed envelope. His hands trembled as he picked up the envelope and opened it. The letter was written in his grandfather's elegant handwriting, and it was addressed to Sam. Sam's heart raced as he began to read. "To my dear Samuel, if you are reading this, then you have discovered the secret of this clock, just as I intended. I write this letter as both a message of love and a reminder of the legacy our family carries. The craft of clockmaking is more than just a trade. It is a way of preserving time, of capturing moments and memories in the delicate hands of a clock. Each piece we create is a testament to our dedication, our patience, and our connection to the past. I know that the world changes, and that one day the need for handcrafted clocks may fade, but I also know that the essence of what we do, the art of creating beauty from raw materials, will never be lost. Samuel, I urge you to continue our family's legacy, not just in the clocks you create, but in the lessons you pass on to those who come after you. Teach them the value of patience, of attention to detail, and of the importance of preserving the past. Remember, time is not just something we measure, it is something we live. Cherish every moment, and let the ticking of a clock remind you of the preciousness of life. With all my love, Grandfather. Chapter 6. A New Beginning. As Sam finished reading the letter, tears welled up in his eyes. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, a connection to his grandfather and the legacy of his family. He turned to Daniel, who had been watching him with a look of quiet respect. "Daniel," Sam said, his voice filled with emotion, "I can't let this clock leave my family. It's more than just a piece of furniture. It's a part of who I am." Daniel nodded, understanding. "I completely understand, Sam. I would never want to take something so important away from you. Keep the clock. It belongs here." Sam shook Daniel's hand, grateful for his kindness. As he watched the man leave, he felt a sense of peace settle over him. He knew that he had been given a second chance to honor his family's legacy, and he was determined to make the most of it. In the weeks that followed, Sam began to restore the old clock, carefully cleaning and repairing it until it looked as good as new. He also took steps to preserve his grandfather's journal and the contents of the hidden compartment, ensuring that they would be passed down to future generations. As the clock ticked away in the corner of his workshop, Sam felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that his time was limited, but he also knew that the legacy of his family would live on, both in the clocks he created and in the lessons he passed on to others. And so, in the quiet town of Willow Creek, the ticking of clocks continued to echo through the years, a reminder of the importance of time, family, and the enduring power of craftsmanship.